Going into Viva Las Pegasus, there were two things I've been waiting a long time to see. It's the first Fluttershy and Applejack episode of the series, and we're finally going to see Las Pegasus. Ever since Applebuck season where Applejack tried to help Fluttershy with the rabbit roundup, I've been dying to see them star together in an episode because of how well their personalities mixed. And having been to Las Vegas 4 times, the most recent being last Christmas, you can bet I was thrilled when I found out we were going to see Las Pegasus, even if it's in a kid-friendly way. Plus, the same people who wrote The Times They Are a Changeling return, so that gives me a huge boost of confidence that AJ and Fluttershy's first episode is in safe hands. However, with Flim and Flam's 50-50 track record, they could be a stroke of bad luck that keeps Viva Las Pegasus from being a jackpot. But there's only one way to find out. Are you all in or do you fold? First off, I was so happy with how fast the episode got Applejack and Fluttershy to Las Pegasus. We've gotten to the point where it's pretty redundant to see them going about their daily routines, having their cutie marks alert them, and then they go off to the castle to see where they need to go. Nope, here we start right off knowing where they're going, and with very little dialogue, boom, they're instantly where they need to be. Plus, I liked how both of them were uncomfortable with the destination. It's just a nice little deviation where either one member of the pair or both of them are thrilled about where they're going. And one quirk I adored about Las Pegasus was how arcade games were used in place of slot machines, like Dance Dance Revolution for example, and tickets in place of money. Though nowadays in Vegas you actually do get a money ticket for winning slots, but nice way to keep it kid-friendly. As for Gladmane, I did like his character. I like how he was a smooth talker and played the part of the friendly boss who has complete trust from not only all of his employees, but from the guests of his resort. If only it wasn't so obvious that he'd be the problem. He was just on screen for too long during his introduction, and it seemed like every other word out of his mouth was something to do with friendship. I'm not saying it was obvious what he was doing, but it was rather easy to tell he'd have ulterior motives. I believe if he'd just met AJ and Fluttershy, praised how thrilled he was to have them in his resort, and then left for whatever reason, leaving an employee to give them the tour, then he wouldn't have been so suspicious. However, I did enjoy the tour, and once we get to Flim and Flam, the episode picks right back up. Because of their last appearance, I was on the fence about Flim and Flam, yet here I was pleasantly surprised to see they didn't completely dominate the episode, and they never really got a chance to put on their smug attitudes because they really weren't trying to dupe any pony. And I loved how when we first heard their voices, Applejack's eyes slowly got smaller and smaller when she realized who was talking. But even though Flim and Flam were being duped by Gladmane to distrust one another, I actually felt a little sympathetic for the two. It's one thing to blame each other or fight when one of their cons fail, but I don't think anyone deserves to be lied to by close friends or family to the point where they distrust each other. And yet, even though Fluttershy's kind nature wanted to help them, the writers used Applejack's refusal to help them as a clever way to unveil there was a bigger friendship problem than there first appeared to be. Yes, the last time AJ was stubborn, we were given Applejack's day off, but here her stubbornness was not only understandable given her past experience with Flim and Flam, but actually useful to the plot. And once Applejack and Fluttershy realized that something is rotten in Las Pegasus, I did like how Applejack put her disdain for Flim and Flam aside to help not just them, but the show ponies as well from Gladmane's lies. And just like before, where it was a little too obvious that he would be the bad guy of the episode, it was a little too easy to tell what the plan was to expose his shady deeds. I mean, Applejack used the same method to expose Svengalop from the main attraction, which was a great episode by the way. But I did enjoy the little twist of how it appeared to fail because he expected it, yet they used his arrogance against him and he ended up revealing his lies through his office PA system. So even though it was basically the same plan to get him to admit he was lying, I appreciate the little fake out. Now, as for the moral, it's pretty easy to look at Viva Las Pegasus and see it as don't just automatically believe what someone tells you, especially about a close friend or even a family member. While that in of itself is a great lesson, I think it goes deeper than that. Notice how before the jig was up with Gladmane, he bragged his flank off about how great of a friend he was to literally everyone. And because he drilled it into the heads of Flim and Flam and the 4 show ponies so much, they believed him and put their trust in him. Just because someone gives you something and claims to be a friend, their motives may not be good. They could easily be manipulating your trust by posing as a friend for their own personal gain, which is what Gladmane did to make money on his resort. If all someone does is say that they're your friend and they never really show why they're a friend, it's good to stop and think if their intentions are true or not. Trust is a huge key to friendship, but people can and do use the word friend to fool someone for selfish reasons. This shows you have to be extremely careful who you give that key to, and I personally think that's a lesson that really makes you think. So, Viva Las Pegasus wasn't a jackpot, but it wasn't a bust at all. Even with the obviousness of Gladmane being the bad guy for the episode and how his lies would be exposed, I really had fun here. It was great to see MLP's version of Las Vegas and how they used arcade games in place of gambling. Applejack's stubborn personality was cleverly used to help progress the plot instead of halt it. The writers actually got me to feel sympathetic for Flim and Flam of all ponies, and the moral about being careful who you can call a friend was pretty deep in my opinion. Plus, I love seeing Fluttershy and Applejack work together, especially at the end where they complemented one another with their parts in solving the friendship problems. Viva Las Pegasus definitely isn't my favorite episode of the season, and it's not even in the top 5, but I still awarded a green flag rating, and I really want to see another Fluttershy and Applejack episode. But, was Viva Las Pegasus a good time, or does what happened here stay there? I'm MrLeftTurn. I'll see you when I get back from the track.